welcome to the UKSG podcast, Knowing Me, Knowing UKSG. So my name's Anna, and today I'm joined by Jodie Heap. So Jodie is a scholarly communications and research support librarian at Keele University, and she also attended the UKSG conference last year as a winner of one of the bursaries that UKSG offer. So Jodie, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, so on this episode, we're going to be talking about your career journey so far and also your experiences at the UKSG conference last year. And maybe sort of your words of wisdom will inspire others to apply for this year's bursary, which have just gone live. And the deadline is the 15th of February. If you're listening to that now, if you're listening to that after the 15th of February, you'll have to think about the following year. But just to get the ball rolling, can you tell us a bit about yourself, about your current role at Keele and maybe your previous roles within the library sector or even outside of the library sector?
Yeah, absolutely. I am currently a scholarly communications and research support librarian. I'm about a year and a half into post, and that post sort of sits at the intersection of open research, research policy, researcher development, and I kind of lead on areas around open access, ORCID and persistent identifiers, repositories, data and software sharing, and supporting PGRs and academic staff with training in relation to all of that. But before I got into this role, I worked more as a liaison and teaching librarians at Staffordshire University and University College Birmingham. So yeah, I feel like I've had a bit of a good run with my career, but it was sort of accidental. Before all of that, I worked in way back when in my secondary school. Weirdly, we had a public library in the school.
Oh.
Which it turns out is not that common.
No, not at all.
But it was absolutely wonderful. Well, yeah, because I'd go in at my lunch and I'd go in after school to go and use the computers, and I would be chatting to the librarians and they all Converse and jeans, and we spoke about books, and I just thought, this is the best job ever.
It sounds like you had some cool librarians.
They were so cool.
Wearing cardigans and
they were like fun hair colours, very relaxed, a bit gothy. And I adored them, and they helped me get a Saturday job in the sort of local public libraries, and that led me to getting a job at a college library where I became assistant manager, and was working full time, and thought, yeah, actually I think I do want to follow this a bit further. So I looked up ways to become qualified. And I was working full time, and I had a house, and didn't really have the capacity to go to uni in the traditional sense. And I was somewhat scuppered because a lot of the routes into librarianship are through master's qualifications, and I didn't have a degree. So I was really fortunate in that I found a route through Aberystwyth University, which enabled me to study, part-time, flexibly, and that led me to getting my first subject librarian role, and here we are. So
it's a really good course at Aberystwyth, isn't it? I know a few people have done it.
I'm absolutely thrilled with it, and it's one of the really few truly, in my opinion, flexible routes into qualification, particularly as a librarian. There's so few undergrad options. And
then often I think people find if they do the undergraduate librarian course, often then when they're within an institution they want the masters. It's a really tricky balance, isn't it, knowing which course to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I knew that I wanted to do more, but no one in my family had ever done degrees. No one had gone to university. It wasn't really a route that I'd ever considered. And I think it's really ironic that I work in a university now, having never technically really done that process.
Oh, fantastic. That's really interesting. Oh, it's just, I think the thing I like about these interviews that we do as part of this podcast series is it shows how many different ways there are into jobs, and there's no like one size fits all. So that's a really, I
Yeah.
think, positive message to put out there. Well, obviously you applied to UKSG to go to the conference in Brighton last year, and you obviously won one of the bursaries, which is brilliant. So can you sort of tell our listener about what you enjoyed most about attending the conference?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, I have to say, I have done a few conferences now, and this was one of my absolute favourites. And it really, really tied into my new role.
Mm.
And the thing that I enjoyed most about the conference was the openness of the conversations that were had. I really found that everyone was speaking quite candidly about the shared challenges, shall we say, that are coming up in our industry at the moment. I mean, particularly around AI and scholarly communications, and everything can be a bit silo-y and a bit sensitive sometimes. But I found that people were really receptive to having frank conversations,
Really?
and listening to each other, which is always refreshing.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Often you have one and not you don't have the other, but yeah, that's really good to hear.
Yeah, I thought I think it's a funny one because although I am early into this career as into scholarly communications, I obviously have had a bit of time in library world, and kind of as a result of that, I'm a bit more willing to ask stupid questions, shall I say? But no one was rude or do you know what I mean? There was just
Yeah.
acceptance that not everybody would know all the information in every room that I went into. So there was sometimes I would ask what perhaps was a basic question, but it was treated absolutely fine and discussed, and that's what I particularly enjoyed about the conference.
Well, there were probably people sat there in that room wanting to ask the same question, but maybe scared of looking naive or something. But so it's all. I think everyone's really pleased when people ask those questions that take
Yeah.
you back, that maybe don't assume an amount of knowledge. So I bet there were lots of people there cheering you on whenever you asked your questions.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things that I've found working in libraries and scholarly communication and universities is the amount of people who don't want to look silly. And some of this stuff is really complex and some of it's really niche, and there's not really a single source of information for you to go and learn about this topic. Certainly wasn't covered in my degree in terms of the scholarly communication side of things, at least.
I don't think open access was a thing when I did my library degree. It was a long,
Yeah,
long time ago.
you're right. Like, I think it's still emerging, and but people don't want to look ignorant. So I'm quite willing to say I don't know something.
Oh, that's funny. So you were saying that obviously, so the conference was in March, April last year, and you would
Mm,
have just started in your role as Scholcoms and research support librarian. So,
yeah.
I mean, has your role changed, or the things that you do within your role changed as a result of attending the conference?
Um, I think for me, the main result of attending the conference was that it kind of gave me that confidence and validation that what I am doing is correct and is aligned with what other people are looking at doing and thinking and acting out. And sure, some people have bigger teams or different approaches to it, but it's meant that I have become a lot more confident in my own knowledge and skills. And in my institution, I'm now much more willing to advocate for openness and pushing the agenda of, you know, supporting people to make informed decisions, shall we say, around scholarly communication. So yeah, it was really beneficial to me and my confidence. I was a bit shook moving into a new role and I lost some of my confidence with that, and the conference really helped me validate my feelings.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. So would you say that's one of like the key takeaways from the conference? That was the bit that you really sort of took away and sort of then helped you with your sort of, role and, your career going forward?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was helpful to have an understanding of where there are problems, and it's not me not understanding it, it just really is that complex. And I made friends with my other bursary winners, and I have made connections with other people who are equivalents in my field, and I've stayed in touch with them. So that the key takeaway for me is talk to other people.
Mm.
Go up to someone at a poster presentation, ask someone after a session. If just be, it's not necessarily within my natural nature, but be a bit extroverted and try and connect with people, because it means that you can take that support away with you. Yeah, so
Yeah, that's a really good point, because often I know in sort of this sort of financial climate, maybe institutions can only like send like maybe one person from their library there, so you can
yeah,
connect with, people won't know a lot of people. And there's quite a lot of old timers. Like I've been going for a couple of years now, so I do start to recognise faces. But there's definitely people who have been there. It's their first time there, and they won't know anyone. So that's I think that's sort of one things I try and do whenever I go into a session. I always try and talk to the people that I sit next to. And again, I've made
yes,
some really useful sort of connections just through random, seat allocations. So that
yeah.
was that's really, really good. Um, okay, so we've got a final question. So obviously the bursary for the 2026 conference is now live. So for those people who may be thinking about applying or were thinking, oh no, it's not for me, have you got any tips for those groups of people? And maybe also for the people who, depending on when people are listening to this, the people who win the bursaries, they're about to head to Glasgow. Have you got any tips for those people as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my top tip really is to be bold, both in the application and once you're at the conference itself. Don't undersell yourself in the submission form. The recipients don't know you, they don't know your situation. So, they're looking for people who are new to industry, who don't have all the answers, but are curious and eager to engage and have these conversations. So I just think, yeah, the biggest tip is to go have the confidence just to apply. Nothing bad
Mm.
happens if you don't get it, but you might get it. And that certainly was the case with me. I was quite hesitant initially to apply, and I was encouraged by my manager to submit and see what happens. And by all good fortune, it worked out for me, and I found it incredibly beneficial. Yeah, and just, again at the conference, remember that everyone is there because they want to learn something, and you're not the only one who doesn't know something if you are, new to it all like I was.
Yeah, that's really good advice, definitely. You also published a news piece on the UKSG website last summer, didn't you, about the
Yes.
attending the conference? So if people want to find out even more about your experiences, then just head to the UKSG website and you can check that out. But yeah, I think thank you very much for joining us today, Jodie. It's been a really interesting conversation. Yeah, it's been great to have you. I think I've learned a lot, and things I'm going to take away and put into practice when I go to UKSG in a month's time.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank you.
much for having me.
Oh, no problem. Well, thanks to everyone who is listening today and has listened to this episode of Knowing Me, Knowing UKSG. So, if you're listening to this episode before the bursary deadline of the 15th of February and you do meet all the criteria, then please do head over to the UKSG website for more information, and please consider applying. For those who are listening to this after the 15th of February, then you've got a year to sort of think about what you want to say in your application form for the following year. But that's it for today's episode. Thank you very much for joining us. Bye.